Well, joining us on the stage is our final guest. He is a government contractor. He is Garth Lipk. Garth?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Garth Lipk. I'm a government contractor by trade, but I'm also a electrical engineer, a rocket engineer, and an artificial intelligence enthusiast. So I'd like to just present to you a little project I've been working on. If we could just really quickly bring up the first slide of my presentation. I'm an inventor, and my latest project is the Bio-Robotic Image Analyzing Neural Network, or as we in the lab like to call it, B.R.I.A.N.N.
Okay.
So if we want to just go over to the next slide, I can just go over some quick facts about the B.R.I.A.N.N initiative. The B.R.I.A.N.N initiative was originally a government contract, so the government did subsidize the project with approximately $6.8 billion that went into materials, research and development, our funding our staff. That was in addition to a private investment of roughly $2.8 additional billion. Those were coming from corporate investors. That's in addition to my own personal investment of about $2.35. And of course, this whole project, there was a time investment of roughly 11 years. So what you're about to see today is the culmination of about 11 years of hard work. So we're really excited to unveil that. And before we bring out Brian, Brian is here with us in the studio. So you'll be able to see Brian. But I'd just like to play a quick intro video to sort of set the tone. Oh, but right, I forgot. We do have a mission statement for the project. Brian is a hyper-advanced artificial intelligence. He's capable of intellectual and physical feats far beyond the reach of human ability. Brian is not a tool. Brian is not a weapon. Brian is something new. And Brian is the future. So without further ado, I'd like to play the video and introduce you all to Brian. All right, and here's Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the Bio-Robotic Imaging Analysis Neural Network, otherwise known as Brian.
Oh, wow.
Yes, thank you, thank you. If we can zoom out, you can take a look. Brian is a fully humanoid robotic android. It's really difficult to tell that he's a robot. Obviously, you can see here the movement and motion is completely fluid. Inside of Brian's body are approximately 346 feet of cable and wiring, in addition to gears and rivets and bolts that make this thing tick. So today I'm going to just show you a couple of Brian's unique features. We're really excited about. There's some really exciting technology in here, some cutting edge stuff. So to start us out, I just want to, Brian, if you could come up here with me. Brian is able to understand all languages. He's able to speak approximately 46 languages, but he also is able to communicate through physical movement. So, for example, here, Brian and I, this is a little party trick I programmed into Brian. Brian, let's do our secret handshake. So here we go. Here's a secret handshake with Brian.
Still going.
And that is a secret handshake.
Wow.
So yeah, we're really excited about that. That's something that not a lot of robots were able to do prior to the invention of B.R.I.A.N.N. But of course, that's just sort of like a party trick. There's some more exciting technology that we're really excited to show you. Some stuff that robots truly have never sort of crossed into before, and that's the neural networking portion of B.R.I.A.N.N. And so what that means is that Brian is actually able to connect through a link, a ray, if you will, a wave of information between Brian's, what we call his brain, and the brain of, say, myself or one of our panelists. Brian is actually able to read the information inside of our brain and then show it physically in the real world. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. Really quick, I'm just going to grab some tools over here. Brian, just stay right where you are. Great, thanks, Brian. If you could just step on over to the other side of me real quick. Great, thank you. And so here I've got just a pad of paper. And what we're going to do with this is Brian is going to, is this, do we have a Sharpie anywhere? Just this pen.
Yeah.
This could work. But let's see if we have something a little. Here we go. Perfect. Thanks so much. Okay, so we're gonna give the Sharpie. You can get rid of that pen. We're not gonna need that. Okay, great. And so what's gonna happen now is Brian is going to read my mind. Essentially, he's going to take the data from inside of my brain and then wirelessly transfer that information into visual stimuli on the paper. So he'll be able to take the information from my brain. I'm going to be closing my eyes now, and I'm focusing deeply on an image or a concept in my own head. And whoop, just a slight malfunction there. That's okay. So we're just gonna bring Brian. Just come on back right here. Perfect. And we're just gonna keep going with that illustration. Really good.
No way is this gonna work.
Perfect. And
I don't believe it.
You should be finishing that up right about now. Great. And Brian, if you wouldn't mind, let's show the audience exactly what you were able to create there.
Oh.
Okay. And so what we're seeing here, it looks like a self-portrait. That's very interesting. That's actually pretty accurate. I was thinking about Brian. I was thinking about my career, which was spent mostly building Brian. So that illustration is accurate. That is a good representation of what was going on in my head. It's very good, Brian. Very good. But just to prove, this isn't all smoke and mirrors. This is real technology. I'd like to now invite the panel to think about something in their head. Do we have any volunteers from the panel who would be interested in having their mind read, or?
Sure, I'll go for it.
Okay, great. So if you could just give your name to Brian.
Okay, I'm Patrick. Brian.
Brian,
Hello,
this is Patrick. Great. and I'm gonna. Yep, you look good. That's looking great. Perfect. And Brian, we're just gonna have you. Oh yes, the chat is mentioning that Brian lost. That's actually not an ear. That's just part of Brian's language processor. So unfortunately, we did lose that. So Brian can't actually speak right now, but thankfully he can still communicate through drawing. So Brian, if you would just really quick read the mind of our guest panelist, Patrick. Let's see and Patrick, just really focus, just really think deeply about something, a concept, an object maybe. Great. And Brian is just now finishing up. And I'll just hold that now, and I'll show the camera what Brian was able to come up with.
Okay.
Wow. And Patrick, was that what you were thinking of? This would you
Were
say
you
that this
thinking your own
image?
name and a house?
Were you thinking of this image?
I'm sorry, Brian. I wasn't thinking of that.
Okay. All right. So the technology isn't perfect. Obviously, just like a human, it's not going to be perfect every time. But that could have been a fluke. Let's try, one more time with another panelist, and then maybe open it to the chat. Brian, are you okay with trying it one more time? We got thumbs up. Okay, great. So we're going to try this one more time. And just like the last time, do we have a guest panelist who's willing to volunteer?
Sure. Yeah.
Great.
Either of
Okay.
us could go.
So there you go, Brian.
My name's
And we're going to be
Ted.
reading Ted's mind this time. So Ted, I need you to focus. Really, just focus. Deeply close those eyes and just focus on an image or an idea, and really try to transfer that idea into Brian's brain, into Brian's processors. Focus that energy, and Brian is now, he's coming up, he's reading that information. That information is going into his processors now. It's going through those tubes and wires, and looks like we're just about finished here with the image and a finishing touch, and moments away here. There we are. Great. Looks like Brian's all done, so I'm going to go ahead and show that to the camera, and then I'll show it to Ted. And Ted, what would you say about that image? Would you say that's an accurate representation of what you were thinking of?
I was really trying hard not to think of a butterfly, but I was thinking of a butterfly.
Wow. Wow. And there you have it,
What?
folks.
What?
I
Wow.
can't get them out of my
There
head.
you have it. It looks like Brian was able to accurately read the mind of Ted. Pretty impressive.
Wow.
Pretty impressive. But obviously, that's not enough. We'd like to take it one step further. And so now we'd just like to really quickly invite the chat, somebody at home sitting in the audience. If they would like to send volunteer, just type in the chat that you'd like to volunteer, and we will read your username out loud. And Brian will attempt to read your mind over the power of the internet. We're going to be using a new part of the technology, something that's been in development recently. We're very excited. Oh, it looks like we've
Fever
got
Woman.
Fever Woman. Fever Woman is our volunteer, our first volunteer. And so we're going to get a new page going here for Fever Woman. And Fever Woman, just like the other volunteers before you, if you could just at home close your eyes and just think very, very specifically about a concept or an idea or a phrase. And I'm going to hand this over to our robot, Brian, who will now begin to process that information through the power of the internet and show you in real time a visual, artistic representation of what exactly you are thinking. And then we'll show it to you, and you can confirm whether or not that was accurate. So it looks like Brian is now analyzing. We can see that the imaging software is working at full capacity right now. This seems to be a very complex idea. So it's taking a little bit more time than usual, but I think we're closing in now on a final image. And yep, okay. All right. Now, just before I show this one, I just want to make sure that everybody knows this. Like I said, it's not 100% accurate software, so Fever Woman, I'm just going to, put that warning out to you, and we'll go ahead and show the audience the image.
Oh,
Death.
is that a threat?
Okay, so it seems like we've got some clear imagery here, some clear themes. It's looking like a skull and crossbones. Worrying about my sons is what
Oh.
Fever Woman said. Yikes. Okay. Well, I suppose if you were worrying, were you worrying about them dying or a death in the family? It's hard to say, but that seems to be what the imagery is dictating.
Wow.
Can we get a confirmation from? Okay, well, so that essentially basically concludes the sort of demonstration component of. Oh, they're at camp. Okay, well, like we said, it wasn't exactly. Haven't seen him in weeks. Okay, this has been quite a roller coaster. I'm just gonna jump ahead and get in.